Hello there, YouTube. Devin here again, and this video was requested by IndieJohns321. He wanted to see an ECH comparison to a Cry airframe comparison, and that's a very good comparison because I never drew the similarities between these two until he said something, and I got to thinking about it, and to be honest, they are actually pretty similar in protection, even though my airframe is much older and predates the actual design of the ECH. They're made out of what I'm guessing is very similar materials in a very similar way. Maybe some slight differences in materials and processing and stuff with Cry, as we'll take a look at here. We'll get into some of the comparisons overall, but we're going to start with the outside. First of all, Cry airframe comes standard with 3-hole shroud. Both these helmets I got as shells with chin straps. This one came with what's essentially 8 Team Wendy pads, but instead of the round crown pad, it was just given 2 more rectangular pads. So it came with 2 trapezoidal pads and 6 rectangular pads, whereas this one didn't come with any pads. It just came with a chin strap. They both came with, they're both meant to be worked with a pretty similar pad system. They both now have different pad systems in them. Both pad systems that I actually like, and way more than the standard ACH pads. But I got my Cry airframe, just so you know, it didn't have the rails, and it didn't have the NVG shroud, and it didn't have the chin strap or the liner that it had on it when I got it. It had a chin strap very similar to this, pretty much the exact same thing actually. Kind of the Ops Core suede covered H-nape chin strap with the same kind of locking lugs and stuff like that I'll re-show you later when we look at the interior. But I switched it out for a Team Wendy cam fit retention system because it helps with the balance of this helmet very much. If you haven't noticed, the Cry airframe, despite being a high cut helmet, is much taller than the ECH, and that is because it's a 2-piece design, it has overlapping, and it has a very, very extended nape to protect the back of your neck, which is a very, very important thing to protect as far as your brainstem goes and everything like that. That's where all your basic bodily functions take place, or in your brainstem, such as breathing and heart rate regulation stuff. So it's very important to protect that, which is why the Army started issuing those little kind of jelly bean shaped nape pads to go over the chin straps, so to help protect your brainstem in the event of a blast and stuff like that. But we'll get into it here. We'll start with the finish. As you can see here, this is a walnut shell granulated finish on the ECH, whereas the airframe, as you can see, is a lot smoother because it uses walnut dust instead of actual walnut shell fragments. But it has a textured finish, although a lot smoother, to prevent the shine. I don't think the Cry has IR resistant paint on it, whereas the ECH in its manual says it does have IR resistant paint on it. Taking a look at the Cry from the side here, you can see the very aggressively extended nape on this helmet, which is why it's sitting up so high, and here you can see the overlap. It's a very innovative helmet for design because it offers, it beats all the military standards for 3A, so this is a better than 3A rated helmet. It's made of materials that don't break down as fast as Kevlar, and it solved a big issue we were finding out we were having with lots of head trauma with the troops as far as the HEH and the PASGAT helmets go, in the fact that your helmet is pretty much an immovable object. It takes a lot to destroy that helmet. And so what your helmet was doing is, with the chin strap on it, because we don't have quick release, not quick release, trauma release chin straps on any of the US helmets. So what it was doing is, in a blast, like an IED blast, all that force from the blast is going upward, and it gets caught in your helmet because your helmet is a bowl over your head, and it was causing a lot of trauma to the head. Whereas this helmet solves that problem by having this channel up here, which not only aids in ventilation, but it gives that shock somewhere to escape the top of the helmet. As it's traveling that direction, it's going to take the path of least resistance, and it's going to leave this little hole, so it's going to stop your brains from getting scrambled by the shock wave. whereas this ECH doesn't have that. Another thing about this helmet is it's very, very lightweight. This helmet is like, I think it's this is size large, by the way. I think it's been a while since I weighed it, but I think it's close to like 3 pounds. It's a little bit under 3 pounds, I think, whereas this helmet is, I think it's like 5 pounds, just over 5 pounds. They offer about the same protection. It's better than 3A. This one is capable of stopping lower caliber rifle level threats. I'm not sure what this one would stops exactly, but it says rifle caliber threats in the manual. It comes with the standard kind of ops core rail system. It doesn't have the vertical rails on it or the 45 rails like the standard ops core rails do, and they're not compatible because they have to have this little step in them to accommodate the overlapping shell. But they're still nice. I wish I had some more rail real estate on them. But they come built in with bungees, and you could get once you get the rails, you can get on the ears and the big Spartan chops that you can put on here. Whereas this helmet doesn't come with rails or anything like that. You do see that I do have my Streamlight mount on here, and this is a ECH specific Streamlight mount. If you've ever had a Streamlight mount, you see it has this hook underneath it, and the standard ACH one isn't large enough to reach over the ECH rim. So, now we'll take a look at the interior of these helmets. As you can see, they both have pad type suspension. This one has a chin strap very similar to what this came with. Pretty much the exact same thing. It had the headlock type system. There you can see the anti-move nuts on there and screws and the bolts. It had very, very wide bolts just like this helmet had. It had the same kind of suede covered nape pad, had the same exact type buckle and everything. It was pretty much this exact chin strap was on this helmet stock. This helmet now has the Team Wendy Epic Air liner in it, which I really like because you can adjust the pads so there's not as much pressure points. The cam fit chin strap really helps this thing too, because this helmet tends to have a lot of forward rock, because this is actually a very balanced helmet. So when you put night vision on it, it tends to tip forward. So the Team Wendy cam fit chin strap, which is just drop-in, has these little wires that run up to the front and kind of tend to pull some of that pressure towards the back again. Whereas with the ECH and the ACH, there's a lot more weight in the back because of the skirt. It helps kind of negate that balancing effect. So these tend to be more back-heavy. The ACHs and ECHs tend to be more back-heavy than these high-cut helmets, which tend to be more balanced or front-heavy. Chin strap on this thing is very, very nice, very, very high quality. It is a pretty expensive chin strap. I think the chin strap alone was $70. It has a synthetic leather liner on it. It has a very, very wide cup, which I really, really like because I like a nice grip, whereas this is a more narrower cup, which I don't tend to like as much because they seem to be a little bit harder to adjust because everything is kind of at a strange angle, as you can see there, whereas this is more like a perpendicular kind of 90 degrees to the reversing straps. So and I do this twist in it to kind of help also again kind of even out the weight distribution from the chin strap. So that's also very nice. Now we're going to take a look at the actual like weave on the helmets. Now it's kind of weird on the airframe. I'll pull this back here so you can see the front. It has that kind of carbon fiber woven effect, but it's a kind of thick carbon fiber weave. Whereas if we look at the ECH, it has that same kind of carbon fiber weave. I'm not sure the exact materials on the ECH, not on the airframe, but on the ECH here, I know this is Dyneema. And you can see it has that, especially like right here, you can see how it has that same kind of weave in it, but it's a lot tighter weave. It's a lot smaller fibers, whereas this tends to be, as you can see, it's a lot larger fibers and stuff like that. So the ECH is also much thicker than the airframe, as we'll take a look at here. So I'll tip this one down a bit so you can see it. There's the difference. This is about the same thickness as a lightweight helmet. It's not quite as thick as an ACH, but this here ECH is probably twice as thick as the airframe. So I really like both of these helmets, actually. They're probably my two choice helmets. If I ended up getting shot at, I'd probably grab both of these, to be honest, to bring with me. I know it's a lot of extra weight, but I like a heavy pack and shit, actually. I've trained for a heavy pack and stuff like that. You should see I should probably do a reveal on my improved Alice pack, because that thing is freaking fully loaded. It weighs like 90 pounds, and I hike with that all the time. So, but hopefully this answers your question. And if there's anything else that you wanted to see, or if that I didn't cover, or if you wanted to see either one of these helmets compared to a different helmet, or a helmet from another country or something, leave that in the comments, and I'll see if I can make that happen for you, and I'll tell you some of the specs and stuff like that, like I did for these two, and some physical characteristics, differences and similarities. Hopefully you liked this video and you subscribed if you like this sort of thing. Couldn't do this without the subscribers. I wouldn't keep making these videos if you guys didn't continue to show me the support that you do for them, and I really, really appreciate it. Hopefully this covered all your questions. If you have any questions or suggestions for future videos, please leave those as well in the comments, and I will do my best to answer those accordingly or try to fulfill your wishes. Thank you so much for watching, and hopefully I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.